All right, so you're thinking about going for a gerontology social worker position. Well, get this, we dove deep into RoleCatcher, and we've got the inside scoop to help you absolutely own that interview.
It's not just about getting through the interview, though. It's about really getting what this job is all about. We'll break down the skills you need, the questions they'll ask, even what your career could look like. So you're not just ready for day one, but for years to come.
Music to my ears. Let's jump right in. First up, RoleCatcher's list of common interview questions, and they start with a classic. Describe your experience working with older adults. I know what you're thinking. What if your resume is more about wanting to learn than years of experience? No worries, we've got you.
See, they're looking for more than just a list of jobs. They want to see that genuine passion for working with older adults.
Okay, love that.
Ah.
But how do you approach this, especially when you're just starting out? If your resume doesn't exactly scream senior care expert.
Yeah. Honesty is key. Highlight those transferable skills. Have you volunteered with seniors? Maybe helped an older family member navigate resources, or even have personal insights from your grandparents?
So even that time, I helped my grandma figure out her new smartphone counts.
Absolutely. It shows you understand the needs of older adults, even if it wasn't a formal job.
I love that. Okay, so what should you totally avoid saying here? What makes an interviewer roll their eyes?
Don't make stuff up. It's really easy to spot inconsistencies. And whatever you do, never start with, I don't have any experience, but you're on the defense right away.
Right, makes sense. Instead of saying, I don't have experience, what's a sample response that would really wow them?
Put yourself in the interviewer's shoes. What would impress you? You could say something like, while my resume is mostly about, mention your field, I've always felt drawn to helping seniors. Growing up, I spent so much time with my grandfather who had limited mobility. Helping him with daily tasks, seeing his challenges firsthand, it really made me want to advocate for the elderly.
Okay, now that's powerful. It's personal, it shows you care, it even subtly shows you can empathize. It's your story, and that makes you memorable. And RoleCatcher's AI can actually help you tailor those kinds of responses, highlighting what matters most to the specific job.
Exactly. And that's the goal with this first question. You're not just there for a paycheck, you're there for a fulfilling career.
Love it. On to question 2 from RoleCatcher. How do you approach assessment and intervention planning for older adults? Now, this one sounds a bit more technical.
It is, and this is where they're checking out your problem-solving skills. Can you identify their needs, come up with a plan, and ultimately make their lives better?
Okay, so it's not just about caring. It's knowing how to care effectively. What's a good way to structure an answer for this one?
Start with your assessment process. How do you gather information? Are there tools you use? You could mention using a biopsychosocial assessment. Don't be afraid to show off what you know.
All right, so you've assessed the situation. What about the intervention part? How do you go from understanding the problem to actually making a plan?
Once you've assessed, explain how you'd put that information into action. Would you involve the client in setting goals? How about working with their family or other professionals? Teamwork is crucial in this field.
Collaboration is key. What's the biggest no-no when you're answering this one?
Don't fall into the trap of giving a one-size-fits-all solution. Every single person is unique, and they need a plan that fits their life.
So true. So let's give our listeners an answer that really nails that personalized approach.
How about this? My approach starts with building trust. I really believe in listening to my client and making sure they're part of every step. I'd use tools like the biopsychosocial assessment to get a complete picture of their physical, mental, and social well-being. Then I'd work with the client, their family, and other pros to create a plan that addresses their specific goals. For example, if they're feeling isolated, I might suggest community resources like social groups or senior centers to help them connect.
I love how that brings together both a structured assessment and that personalized touch. It's like saying, hey, I've got the tools and the heart to really make a difference. RoleCatcher can actually help you practice these responses and get feedback. It's like having a personal editor for your interview skills.
Exactly. That kind of prep can be a game changer.
Okay, on to question 3, and this goes straight to the heart of it. How do you advocate for the rights and needs of older adults? I'm guessing this is a biggie in this line of work.
You're telling me. Advocacy is essential to this job. They want to know you're not afraid to stand up for your clients and make sure their voices are heard.
Okay, so how do you walk that line between being assertive and professional?
Yeah.
Because you want to advocate for them, but you also have to respect boundaries and protocols, right?
This is where real-life examples are key.
Yeah.
Have you ever spoken up for someone who couldn't speak for themselves? Maybe volunteered for an organization or helped a loved one navigate the system. Share those stories.
Show, don't tell, right? What should you avoid saying here?
Don't be shy about your advocacy work. They need to know you're willing to go the extra mile. And whatever you do, don't just say you'll try your best. Advocacy is about action.
Yes, love it. Okay, hit us with a powerful sample response. What's a specific scenario we can use?
Let's say a client isn't getting what they need from a service provider, you could say. I believe in a multi-pronged approach to advocacy. I'd empower my client to speak up, offering support along the way. If that doesn't work, I'd advocate alongside them, using my knowledge of their rights and resources. For instance, I once had a client denied medical equipment. I dug into their insurance policy, got in touch with their doctor, and eventually connected them with a patient advocate. They got the equipment they deserved.
Now, that's what I'm talking about. You didn't just advocate, you empowered your client. And that's key here, right? You're not just fixing problems, you're giving people the tools to fight for themselves. RoleCatcher can help you fine-tune these answers too. Imagine getting instant feedback on how your response aligns with the actual job description, or even getting suggestions for stronger words. Talk about a game changer.
It really is. Okay, question number 4. How do you collaborate with interdisciplinary teams to provide comprehensive care for older adults? I bet those specific examples are key again here, right?
Probably. It's not like you're working in a bubble in this field.
Exactly. You'll be working with a whole team, doctors, nurses, therapists, families. Everyone's focused on the same goal, supporting that individual. They want to see that you can communicate clearly, respect everyone's perspective, and work together.
So how do you make those collaborative skills shine through, even if you haven't had a directly related job yet?
Think back to a time you were part of a team. Didn't have to be a job. School project, sports team, volunteering. Use those experiences. Highlight how you contributed to the team's success.
What about those times when teamwork gets tough? What should we stay away from when we're answering?
Whatever you do, don't say you'd rather work alone. Collaboration is non-negotiable in this field. And avoid bad-mouthing past team experiences, even if they were rough. Instead, talk about what you learned from those challenges and how the team succeeded in the end.
Good point. Turn that frown upside down. Okay, let's hear that sample response. Paint us a picture of what amazing interdisciplinary collaboration looks like.
Picture this. You're working with a team to create a care plan for a client with really complex needs. You could say something like, for me, it all starts with open communication and mutual respect. That's the foundation. I'm always happy to share my expertise and listen to what everyone else brings to the table. We're all working towards what's best for the client. For example, I once worked with a team to make a discharge plan for someone going home from the hospital. We had to factor in their medical needs, their living situation, their support system, everything. Because we talked to each other and respected everyone's role, we created a really solid plan for them.
That's a great response. It shows you're all about teamwork, but it also shows you can handle complex situations.
Exactly.
Okay, question number 5. This one's super relevant. How do you address the unique needs of older adults from diverse backgrounds? Feels especially important these days.
It's about cultural competence. It's crucial. They want to make sure you're ready to provide care that's sensitive and tailored to each person.
So it's not just about understanding aging, but understanding the experiences that different cultures have, right?
Right. Think about language barriers, different beliefs about aging and caregiving, even what people like to eat. These things really matter, and a skilled gerontology social worker gets that.
Absolutely. How can someone answer this well if they haven't worked with a diverse group of clients yet?
Show that you're open to learning, to changing your approach, to seeking out resources that help bridge those gaps. If you have personal experiences with different cultures, even if they're not work-related, share those too.
I like that. You're showing that you're open-minded, willing to walk in someone else's shoes. What should we steer clear of saying here? What are the potential pitfalls?
Don't make broad generalizations about cultures or act like you're a diversity guru. It's not about ticking boxes. It's about truly believing in inclusivity.
Love that. Let's hear a sample response that showcases that commitment.
Try this on for size. I truly believe that everyone's cultural background influences their needs. I always approach my clients with respect, wanting to understand how they see the world. I'm also always learning. For example, I've been going to these language exchange meetups to brush up on my skills, and I just finished a training on cultural sensitivity in healthcare.
That's a great answer. It shows you're aware of differences, but also that you're taking steps to learn and grow.
It's all about showing that you don't just care. You care in a way that's culturally sensitive. And here's where RoleCatcher's AI can really help. It can tell you if you're using the right language for the specific place you're applying to. Think of it as a personal editor for your interview.
Wow, that's amazing, taking all the guesswork out of it. Okay, question 6 coming up, and this one's a big one. Describe your experience working with older adults with dementia or Alzheimer's disease. This can be a really tough part of the job, right?
Absolutely. Dementia and Alzheimer's come with their own unique set of challenges. They're looking for someone who can handle the emotional and practical difficulties that come with it.
So, what's the best way to handle this question if your experience here is a bit limited?
Honesty is the best policy. If you haven't worked directly with people who have dementia, just say so. But you can still highlight any relevant skills or experiences. Maybe you've volunteered at a memory care facility, taken classes, or even cared for a family member with dementia.
Wait, so personal experience counts here.
Of course. Caring for a loved one with dementia takes a lot of patience, empathy, and problem-solving skills. Those are all valuable in this field.
Okay, that's good to know. It's not as intimidating as it sounds at first. But what should you avoid saying? What would make an interviewer worried?
Don't exaggerate your experience if you don't have any. Instead, focus on your eagerness to learn and show that you understand what people with dementia and their families go through.
Authenticity and a desire to learn are key here. Got it. Okay, let's hear that sample response.
Here's one way to approach it. My experience with dementia care has mostly been through volunteering at a memory care facility. I'm really committed to learning more about this area. Right now, I'm taking a certification course in dementia care, and I can't wait to use those evidence-based strategies to help people. Through my volunteer work, I've learned how important patience, clear communication, and a supportive environment are. I've also seen how hard dementia is on families, and I'm committed to giving them the support and resources they need.
I like how you were honest about your experience level, but showed how much you want to learn. It proves you're not just looking for any job, but for a chance to truly make a difference.
Exactly.
Okay, 2 questions left. RoleCatcher says this one's up next. How do you address issues of social isolation and loneliness in older adults? Man, this feels especially relevant right now.
It's a huge problem, you know. Social isolation and loneliness are major issues, especially for older adults. They're looking for someone who gets that it's not just about their physical needs, but their emotional well-being too.
So how do you talk about your approach to this in a way that really resonates?
Focus on being proactive and give them real-life examples. Have you volunteered for a program that tackles senior isolation? Maybe you helped an older neighbor find resources or just made an effort to befriend someone who seemed lonely. Those stories really make an impact.
It's all about human connection, right?
Yeah.
What should we absolutely not say here? What would make an interviewer cringe?
Don't downplay how serious social isolation is. It's more than just being alone. It affects people's mental and physical health.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, last sample response for this one. Let's hear how you'd approach this.
Here's a powerful one. I know that social isolation can be just as harmful as any physical problem. I always start by really listening to my client and looking for any signs of loneliness. From there, I work with them to find solutions that fit their interests. That might be connecting them with a senior center or a support group, or even just encouraging them to get back into hobbies they used to love. I remember working with this client who was really withdrawn after their spouse passed away. I gently encouraged them to join a gardening club, and it was amazing to see them come alive again. They rediscovered this passion, they made new friends. It made a world of difference.
That story really shows how powerful those connections can be. It's not just about fixing a problem. It's about bringing joy back into their lives.
You got it. And guess what? RoleCatcher's AI can actually look at your answers to these questions and suggest ways to make them even stronger. It's like having your own personal coach right there on your phone.
Now, that is amazing. Working smarter, not harder, right? All right, listeners, ready for the final question on the list? It's all about those family matters, right? Question 8 from RoleCatcher. How do you approach working with families and caregivers of older adults? That's a whole other ball game, isn't it?
It is. Families and caregivers are so important, but those relationships can get complicated. They want to know you can handle those dynamics, communicate well, and be a mediator if you need to.
So how do you show off those skills, even if your experience with families is more personal than professional?
Talk about how you work with people. Do you see families as part of the care plan? How would you make sure everyone's voice is heard while respecting the client's independence? This is where examples are super helpful.
It's like walking a tightrope, making everyone feel heard. What should you definitely not say when you're answering this one?
Don't say anything that makes it seem like the family's wishes are more important than the client's. You always put your client first. And try not to be negative about families or caregivers, even if you've had some tough situations.
Okay, great advice. Let's wrap up this question with a stellar sample response that really shows that empathy and balance.
How about this? I always see families and caregivers as essential parts of the team. My approach is to make sure we have open communication right from the start. I actively get families involved in making care plans, explaining everything clearly, and talking about any concerns. Once, I worked with a family who couldn't agree on where their aging parents should live. We talked it through, I gave them resources, and addressed everyone's worries. In the end, we found a solution that worked for everyone and put the client's needs first.
Wow, that is a fantastic response. It shows you can handle the tough stuff and advocate for everyone involved. You're a peacemaker.
That's the goal.
And there you have it. We just tackled all 8 of RoleCatcher's interview questions. How are you feeling? Ready to knock 'em dead?
Acing the interview is awesome, but remember, it's just the beginning. Now that we've covered that, let's zoom out and look at the big picture. What does it actually mean to be a gerontology social worker?
You read my mind. Feeling prepped for those questions is awesome, but what about the bigger picture? RoleCatcher's Career Guide had some eye-opening insights, like what does this job actually look like day to day?
So true. They break it down really well, and I'm quoting here, okay? Gerontology social workers help elderly individuals and their families cope with their needs physically, mentally, and socially. They connect them with the resources they need, like making sure they know what services are out there for them.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. It's connecting people with the support they need. That's what social work is all about, right?
Yeah,
But where do these amazing people actually work? What does that look like?
right. And the guide goes into that. It says they work in all kinds of places: hospitals, nursing homes, community centers. It's pretty varied.
Hospitals, nursing homes, community centers. Wow, that is a verse. Okay, so the guide also mentioned the pros and cons of this career path, which I think is so important.
Totally. It's not all sunshine and roses, right?
Exactly. Give us the good, the bad, and the fulfilling. I'm guessing this isn't your typical 9 to 5.
Not at all. The pro section highlights the opportunity to make a real difference in the lives of older adults, and also the varied and rewarding work with diverse clients.
See, that's what it's all about, making a difference.
Yeah,
Okay, but what about the tough stuff? There have got to be some hard days, right?
definitely. The guide talks about that too. The cons section mentions emotionally demanding work, dealing with end-of-life issues and grief, and the potential for burnout and compassion fatigue, so it's not always easy.
Man, that's a lot. It takes a special person to handle all of that with grace. It sounds like the rewards, that sense of purpose, make it all worthwhile, though.
For sure. And self-care is super important. Gerontology social workers really need to take care of themselves so they can keep doing this amazing work.
Speaking of taking care, let's talk about how RoleCatcher can help you take your career to the next level. Because, let's be real, we can all use a little boost sometimes.
Totally. Remember those AI tools we talked about? Let's dive into how they can give you that edge, not just to get the interview, but to really build your career.
So we're talking long-term success here, not just a quick fix.
Exactly. RoleCatcher is not just a one-time thing. It's like having a career coach with you all the time.
Okay, I'm all ears. What else can it do?
For one, their AI resume and cover letter builder. Imagine your resume, but it's perfectly tailored to each job you apply for, highlighting all the right stuff.
No more generic resumes getting lost in the abyss.
Nope. It's about helping you stand out from the crowd.
Okay, I'm sold. What other magic does this AI have?
Remember that feeling of sending your resume into the void? RoleCatcher actually flips the script with its Get Discovered feature.
Wait, hold up. So jobs come to you. I need details.
It's true. You let employers actually find you based on your skills. It's like having a personal recruiter, but it's AI.
No more feeling like you're lost in a sea of applicants.
Exactly. It's about putting you in control.
Love it. But even with a killer resume and employers knocking down your door, that interview can still be intimidating.
Totally. RoleCatcher to the rescue, though. They've got this awesome AI interview practice tool. It's like having a coach right there with you.
Okay, tell me more.
You record yourself answering practice questions, and it gives you feedback on how you sound, what you say, everything.
Oh, wow. Like a personal feedback session, but you don't even have to talk to a real person.
It's all about prepping you and getting you ready to rock that interview.
This is mind-blowing. It's like a secret weapon for your job search.
Exactly. That's what RoleCatcher is all about, giving you the tools you need to succeed, not just in your job search, but in your entire career.
You know, one thing that's really stood out to me through this whole deep dive is the passion and empathy you need to be a gerontology social worker. It's more than a job. It's about truly caring.
I couldn't agree more. You got to have both your head and your heart in it. Knowledge and skills are important, but so is compassion.
And dedication. RoleCatcher also mentioned something about alternative titles for this job. Sounds like there are a bunch of different paths you can take.
Oh, for sure. It's easy to get stuck on one job title, but, sometimes it helps to think outside the box. Those synonyms can open doors you didn't even know were there.
Okay, so spill the tea. What other titles should our listeners add to their list?
RoleCatcher mentioned a few. Aging Services Specialist, Senior Social Worker, and Elder Care Coordinator are all good ones.
Those definitely fit the vibe.
Right. And don't forget about specializing. As you gain experience, you can focus on a certain area, dementia care, hospice, even advocating for better policies.
Ooh, policy work. So you could go from working one-on-one to shaping the whole system.
Totally. A career in this field can take you in a lot of different directions.
I love that. It's about finding your passion and putting it into action.
Absolutely. And RoleCatcher stressed that never stop learning.
So it's not get your degree and you're done.
Not at all.
Yeah.
This field is always changing. There's always something new to learn.
So how do you stay ahead of the game?
Get certified. The Certified Gerontological Social Worker, the CGSW, is a good one. Go to conferences, workshops, read everything you can.
So it's a job that keeps you on your toes, but in a good way.
Definitely. Challenging and so rewarding at the same time.
I love it. Well, I think we've covered it all. How to ace your interview, insights into the career, the power of AI, even a little dose of inspiration for the road ahead.
We just scratched the surface today, but hopefully this deep dive has given you the confidence and the knowledge to take that next step.
And don't forget, whether you're just starting out or making a change, resources like RoleCatcher can make all the difference. We'll link it in our show notes, so check it out.
This conversation really made me think about the ethics of elder care. It's a fascinating topic, especially with all the new technology and everything.
Oh, now that's a deep dive for another day. But until then, thanks for joining us on the deep dive. And remember, you got this.
See you next time.